It's normal for actors to depart from franchises, or to be recast, whether because of scheduling conflicts or behind the scenes drama. However, when it comes to the MCU, movie gossip is always heightened, with the internet collectively losing their minds when an actor doesn't return for a sequel. So today on Top 10 Beyond the Screen, we're going to be counting down our list of the top 10 actors we will never see again in the MCU. Coming in at 10, Tim Roth. Now, for warning, there will be a lot of mention of Incredible Hulk on this list because we all know how much of a train wreck that film was. Anyway, Tim Roth of course played Emil Blonsky, aka the Abomination, in this 2008 superhero flick. However, this was Roth's only appearance, which was a surprise to many fans of the actor and character. According to Roth, Marvel did consider bringing him back for Avengers, stating they were going to do it. They were thinking in the Avengers 2 or something. It just kinda got swept under the carpet, I guess. How the folks over at Marvel were going to craft that story, we have no idea, considering Ultron was the main antagonist. Roth has given up hope on a return, however, considering that fans weren't so thrilled about the Hulk films, and the possibility of Mark Ruffalo getting a standalone is slim to none. Roth did state, however, "I don't think Marvel will ever use me again, but it would be fun." Coming in at 9, Josh Dallas. Josh Dallas appeared in Thor back in 2011 as Fandral of the Warriors 3. Now, he wasn't the most pivotal character, but people certainly took notice when he disappeared and was replaced by Zachary Levi. Now, the recasting didn't come down to money, behind the scenes drama, or lack of skill, but simply because of a scheduling conflict. At the time, Dallas was also appearing on ABC's Once Upon a Time as Prince Charming / David Nolan, with the actor also signed up for Thor: The Dark World. However, due to conflicts with ABC, Dallas had to back out. The actor was reportedly bummed about the situation, stating, "I had such a great experience and great time making the first film and was really excited about coming back. I love Marvel. I wish them all the best." Dallas wasn't forced out but came to the decision on his own, knowing that it was impossible for him to fly back and forth to Vancouver in order to shoot Once Upon a Time. At least he wasn't shoved out the door. There's always that. Coming in at 8, Jamie Alexander. Like our number 10 point, Jamie Alexander also had some scheduling conflicts when it came time to shoot Thor Ragnarok. The popular actress who played Lady Sif completely disappeared from the franchise, with fans questioning the notable absence. Outside of the MCU, Alexander stars as Jane Doe on NBC's Blind Spot, which ultimately got in the way of her returning as Lady Sif. However, unlike Dallas, Alexander stated that Marvel didn't work very hard to make things work out for her. I quote, "I was hoping for more of a notice from the studio so I could make it work, but it was a short notice thing. They called and said, 'Hey, by the way, would you come do this?' And I said, 'There is no way I can make that work that fast.' Thankfully, the door is still open for a Lady Sif return. However, it will be unlikely to be Jamie Alexander playing the beloved character." Coming at 7, Damian Poitier. Now, it's common knowledge that Josh Brolin wasn't the first actor to play the Mad Titan Thanos, with the actor first appearing in his purple getup back in 2014's Guardians of the Galaxy. However, Thanos appeared before then, back in 2012 The Avengers. However, this time the Mad Titan was played by Damian Poitier, best known for his role in HBO's True Blood. Now, there were no reports of Marvel being unhappy with Damian or his performance, it just appears that Josh Brolin was the better choice in their eyes, and honestly, they're not wrong. Kevin Feige told Collider, I quote, "You look at Brolin's face and the performance he gives. He could be Thanos without any effects. He has that kind of face and that kind of gravitas to it." Now, Damian did make a small cameo in the MCU following Avengers, but this time in Civil War as one of Crossbones' henchmen. However, it's unlikely that he will ever return to the MCU, at least not in a big way, that is. Coming in at 6, Aaron Taylor Johnson. Oh, Quicksilver gone too soon. We still remember that heartbreaking moment Scarlet Witch's brother Quicksilver shielded Hawkeye and a young civilian in order to protect them from a spray of bullets. Sadly, the speedster wasn't speedy enough and bit the dust instantly, resulting in Scarlet Witch losing all of her shit. His death surprised everyone, with the character only just being introduced into the MCU, with many speculating that it had something to do with Evan Peters playing the same character in X-Men Days of Future Past. However, Kevin Feige denied these claims, stating instead that Quicksilver's death adds stakes to the ending of the film, to show repercussions to Ultron's action, and also in a way to solidify Scarlet Witch's character and Wanda's arc in the movie and where we'll see her in the next films. He even went on to state that in every single version of the script, Quicksilver died. died. Well, sorry Aaron. Coming in at 5, Edward Norton. What went down on the set of Incredible Hulk has become a notorious story amongst MCU fans, following the announcement back in 2010 that Edward Norton would not be reprising his role as Bruce Banner in Avengers. So most know what happened, but for those who don't, I have all the details you need to know. Before his release from Marvel in 2010, there was already animosity between Norton and Marvel, with Norton signing on to the Incredible Hulk under the condition that he would be the star and would also get to rewrite Zack Penn's script. Marvel for some reason agreed to these terms and Norton wrote in some brand new scenes for the film. However, they were ultimately cut in post, which of course off the actor, who then refused to do press for the film. So when 2010 rolled around, Marvel stated that they wanted an actor who embodied the creativity and collaborative spirit of our other talented cast members. Shots fired. However, the incident still seems to be on Norton's mind because in July of last year, the actor took one last swipe at Marvel while on Comedy Central's roast of Bruce Willis, stating, "I tried to be like Willis. I did a big action movie called The Incredible Hulk. You know what went wrong. I wanted a better script." Mic drop. Coming in at 4, Hugo Weaving. Red Skull, our favourite villain that we can't help but love. Now you may be surprised to see Hugo Weaving on our list considering Red Skull appeared in Avengers Infinity War. However, few fans know that it wasn't actually Weaving. That's right, Ross Marquand from The Walking Dead replaced the actor in the third Avengers film. Weaving was signed up for a multi-picture deal with Marvel, however he decided he didn't want to return after Captain America the First Avenger, with the actor stating, I quote, "I would be obliged to return if they forced me to, but they wouldn't want to force someone to do it, not if they didn't want to." Now, thankfully Weaving doesn't appear to harbour any hard feelings towards Marvel, he just instead wanted to turn his attention away from blockbusters, with the only big franchise film the actor has appeared in since being The Hobbit, with Weaving reprising his role as Elf Elrond. Coming in at 3, Terrence Howard. I mean, it's a tale as old as time at this point, isn't it? Terrence Howard is perhaps the most infamous former MCU employee, with the actor appearing as the original Rhodey in Iron Man back in 2008, before instantly getting recast and replaced by Don Cheadle in the following sequels and Avengers movies. So, for those who don't know, this is what went down. It all came down to money. According to Howard, he willingly took a $1 million pay cut in order to help get Robert Downey Jr. the role in Iron Man. However, Marvel have denied this claim multiple times. When Iron Man 2 rolled around, Howard claimed that Marvel wanted the actor to take an almost 90% pay cut and that his role would be reduced. Why? Once again, money. Howard claimed that Downey Jr. had a hand in pushing him out, but he later backtracked on those comments, with the two actors resolving their differences. It is safe to say though that we will never see Howard back in the MCU, especially considering Don Cheadle did a far better job playing War Machine. Just saying. Coming in at 2, Chris Evans. Of course, we knew going into Avengers Endgame that Chris Evans likely wasn't going to be coming back, but it still hurt just as much. Evans first appeared in the MCU back in 2011 when he starred in Captain America the First Avenger. It instantly became a fan favourite, with Cap going on to lead the Avengers in the following sequels and Avengers movies. However, all good things must come to an end, and that's exactly what happened in Endgame. It was common knowledge that Evans' contract was up and he desperately wanted to end his career on a high, playing one of America's greatest heroes. And that's what went down. Chris Evans has stepped away from acting, with the actor hanging up his shield and bidding farewell to not just the MCU but also to Hollywood. It's bittersweet that he made one of the greatest superhero films of all time his final project. And finally, coming in at number 1, Robert Downey Jr. This is perhaps the toughest loss the MCU has ever faced. And yes, that might sound dramatic, but it's true. Robert Downey Jr. started the MCU, in essence, all the way back in 2008 when he starred in Iron Man, the film that kicked it all off. Ever since that day, Iron Man has become a fan favourite amongst Marvel fans, new and old, with Tony Stark being the adorable, witty genius we all love so very much. However, much like our last number, we knew going into Endgame that Robert Downey Jr.'s contract was up, but most still held out hope that he would perhaps make a few appearances and cameos in upcoming Marvel movies, whether as Peter Parker's mentor or in the future Avengers movies. Yet, we now know that is never going to happen. Spoiler ahead for anyone who has yet to watch Endgame, Iron Man of course dies at the end of the movie, which has essentially closed the door and locked it on any possible return for Tony Stark, which I'm happy about in a way. It was the perfect end to a character that started it all. Well, there we have it. Do you guys agree with our list? Were there any MCU actors that we missed? Leave us all your thoughts and feelings in the comments down below. If you haven't already, be sure to give this video a big thumbs up, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss another Beyond the Screen vid. And until next time, see you later.